Hello, 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 everybody. Can you hear me? I want to make sure you hear me. I've got my mic on. I want to make sure you guys can hear me today. We're here, back with another Heart to Heart. And I'm Tony, and this is who are you?
I'm your husband.
You're my husband. What's his name?
Puddin'.
Puddin'.
Mm-hmm.
So we're the Sawyers. Hey, Tanya. We're the Sawyers, and we're the pastors of Cornerstone Life Center. In case you don't know us, but I think most of you guys do know us, and we're so glad you're with us today. Good to see you all here with us, Phyllis and Tanya and Sharon and Mama Essie and Oliver
Yeah.
and oh my goodness, Carol and Christine, Sister Chris and Kim and oh my gosh, Dee Dee and Michelle, my sweetheart Michelle, my brother-in-law and my sister and Adele. Oh, Adele, thank you so much. We got the other half of your gift today, and it's great. You see it behind me? You see it up there? I don't know where I'm pointing. Where am I pointing? Up there. She gave me the most beautififul gift, a journal with our pictures on it. And Pastor's got one too. Thank you all for all my birthday wishes and sweet cards and gifts. You got enough room, Pastor? Wait a minute, I have to get over.
Yeah, I'm
You
good.
in here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, you ready for some good stuff? I'm ready for some good stuff. Pastor, you ready for some good stuff?
I'm ready.
All right. You gonna kick it off? What do you want? What do you want to do?
Well, that was a question that came up to me the other morning.
Mm-hmm.
Why do the sages or the wise ones, the spirit enlightened teachers, like I'm doing now, why do they pause between statements or stop talking?
Mm-hmm. I've watched them do that. I've
I
seen them
kept
do
always
that
wondered.
so many times.
Now, I'm going to attempt to stay in this vein for a while because I've discovered some things about the connection that we have that needs to be reestablished after we come into this dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And the main throb of this is that we need to, it would be wise to make room
Yes.
for internal communication with your true identity, infinite identity.
Okay.
Because the focus of this dimension in the ego is to get your attention to believe or to look more for a coming of Christ more so than Christ already being in us as us.
Mm.
And I mean, what good is it to say I got the Spirit of God or the Holy Ghost, the baptism, and every time you look around, you're talking about God coming from somewhere.
Yep. Yep. That's right.
Now that's fine. It has its place, but there comes a place there should be a place in you where you understand both sides.
Okay.
To the degree that you are now fulfilled and satisfied with the essence of your true identity being Him inside of you.
Yes. Yes.
Now that's real stuff.
It is.
You can hear if you put your attention where the voice is coming from. And I've always said that the voice of the Lord is the voice that walked in the cool of the garden based on the book. And that voice, the true voice of every being in the universe, is the voice of God.
Yeah. So what brought you to the place of wanting to know why those spiritual teachers or sages or whatever put a pause between when someone asked them a question or make a statement, they put a pause there? What brought you to wanting to understand what that was?
Well, when I started out, I didn't do that until I found out how to slow down
Okay.
and be deliberate, like I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would be out in the audience ministering to people, I would find myself looking a certain way and putting myself into a certain state
Yeah.
to where I could see things, and I kept wondering where was it coming from. And then to another thing that came up, it was not enough for me to be saved based on churchology, to be saved, filled with the Holy Ghost, and God in me, and not know how to assess or take advantage of what was in me.
Of what's in us.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I understand God inside mindedness, but even though you God inside mindedness, I want to find out what is this thing that makes some of these guys that I found out about get over into what I'm talking about, and yet something about them made something going on in it made them arrogant.
Oh, okay.
Just because they found out they could hear God and others couldn't.
Yeah.
And I investigate. I invest.
So their egos were inflated.
Yeah,
you know,
I
because
turned
of
over every stone that I could, because with the taste in my mouth of ever hearing him speak or me, my real self, communicate. I found out that I could talk to my true self in other people, and I found out that my ears had to be tuned. That when I was talking to somebody, like Jesus talking to Peter, when the question came, who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And Peter just talking his natural voice, but Jesus could understand where the voice was coming
He
from.
located the eye, or
He located.
He located or exposed the identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have to be laid hands on and dipped in water and splattered in grease, slick you slide out your britches.
Like back in the day when we had olive oil. We
I mean,
slap olive oil on everybody.
When I got ordained, they poured oil so much on me it went down inside my head, then bubbled up and went down the rest of me.
Yeah.
And my wife was standing there and said, "You should got everything. If it didn't, you get some more."
It didn't cover everything.
Yeah, she said, "You didn't cover everything." Yeah.
Should've
I said,
covered
"What
more.
else could it?" It went down in my britches. She said, "Well, that need to be covered too, you know." So anyway,
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
telling you, I wanted to find out. I wanted to find out more about this that we call Holy Ghost.
Yes. Now I want to read a scripture in Genesis.
Okay,
Are you ready for me to read that
ready.
one?
I'm ready.
Because I mentioned it to you today while we were discussing this. It said,
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, God, and this is the very first chapter. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and the earth was without form
Mm-hmm.
and void,
Mm-hmm.
and darkness was upon the face of the deep,
Mm-hmm.
and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
Mm.
Today, while talking, I said, if you go back and look that word up, when it said he moved, it said he brooded.
That's right.
He brooded
There you
over
go. There
the
you go.
waters.
There you go.
He's like you mentioned it earlier, like a hen sits over its eggs, like broods over its chicks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Brooded over the waters. So, are you saying that you believe that pause is when we brood? When
Yes,
that
yes,
person is brooding.
yes. I looked that up, what you're talking about, and it meant exactly that. When in the 11th chapter of John, when Jesus was raising Lazarus from the dead, he said he groaned within himself.
Yes, it did.
He grunted. It's like, see, I told you guys, some of you know it, when I was in the competitive weightlifting bodybuilding years ago, I noticed the guys, when they got ready to go to a real heavy weight, they would make a sound like blowing out air, kind of like,
They sure would. They sure would.
like
And I
in
think
Korean.
Yeah.
And I kept wondering why they do that. So I
Yeah,
just started
yeah.
doing it because as a pattern, I want to do whatever works.
Well, you know also that women who are giving birth,
Mm-hmm.
labor, a lot of they tell them to breathe a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds almost like that what you're talking about now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It is pretty much
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
thing.
And,
So what is happening when that takes place?
It's a pressure that builds up.
Just cover your mouth. You don't
Excuse
look
me,
like
please.
you're yawning anyway.
I don't know what it is. I guess I'm getting free.
He does this
Um,
every time we sit down to do
I
a
get
live
I
at
get
7.
over to this place of hypnagogic state where I guess relax and that's what come out.
By the way, when you say hypnagogic, I used to think, because I was so vain, I used to think you were mispronouncing the word hypnotic. But hypnagogic means that states between sleep and awake. It is an actual word.
Right. And that's the state you get into. This is the state that I found out that is used by prophets and those of seers
Yeah.
who are familiar with, and even I investigated into the fact that the person that made the sewing machine,
Yeah.
and then he was wondering how could he get a needle to work on the machine. And so what happened, he was working on it and messing with it for so long that he drifted off into a hypnagogic state, which means he got caught between sleep and awake. And in that state, he saw somebody being chased through the jungle in the woods, and that
With a spear.
with a spear, and they threw the spear, and at the end of the spear, he saw
A hole.
a hole in
Yeah.
it, and that was the needle.
That's where that invention came
invention came from. Now I've been sewing it for a long time, and I'm gonna tell you what, it is really something to see how that worked. So that
So that hypnagogic state threw him over into a creative
yeah.
element as well.
And then that
dimension.
was some other inventor I studied about who wanted to find out how to discover the mystery behind electrical stuff. I'm not sure about that, but he would hold an object in his hand
Yeah.
while he was sitting in a chair and went into the hypnagogic state. And just before that object slipped out of his hand, he could hold himself and grab it before it hit the floor. Yeah, and that he found out after practicing of that, he would put himself into the place where he could see and function from his infinite, eternal, never-ending self. But these things that I'm talking to you now are things that I picked up years ago. Then I found out something about chanting, about making sounds, and how vibrational frequencies is what whales, fish, animals, everything that I investigated into it that had something to do with sound, music, guitars.
Let me read this.
Okay, go ahead.
We pulled this from, I don't remember where we got this so many years ago, but it says here the power of sound. Vibration, sound, and mantra are integral to every spiritual tradition. In the Christian tradition, there is evidence of this throughout the Bible. The opening sentence of the Gospel, according to St. John, reads, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Here the term word is translated from the Greek word logos, which means emanation of vibration. Thus, before anything existed in creation, vibration or sound already existed and was the primary means by which everything we see in the universe was brought into being.
Okay, so then I ask the next question: is there a part of us that never die? Whether you are born again, saved, a Christian, or non-Christian, an atheist, or a downright unbeliever in God itself,
Yeah.
do you live forever? Is there a part of you that exists beyond the body? And my investigation into it has put me into a most amazing discovery, and can bring about some of the most interesting discussions, especially when you have had these experiences yourself.
Yeah.
Out of body travel, and the Bible talks about it all the time. I don't understand people who have problem with out of body experiences, because you do it every night in your sleep, and you call it dreams.
That kind of phenomenon.
That
you mean?
phenomenon, yeah. But I wanted to find out more about this thing of this solar plex, this energy that's running through our bodies,
Where the vibration
where the
comes
vibration
from.
come from. Somebody asked the question: they was at a funeral and they wondered why, when they looked at the deceased body, that it looked like it was still moving.
It appeared to be moving.
And I've investigated and inquisitioned certain funeral directors and talked to them about that, and certain things that would take place while they was preparing the body, and these muscle reactions take place, and the body will either bend, move, or a certain way,
True.
and that isn't we call it muscle, but it's really energy.
Energy still in the body.
Now,
Yeah.
some of my mentors didn't like me to use that word energy instead of spirit.
Right.
And so I used what was appropriate for me. Now, it's time for you guys, everybody, you guys out there, to get open-minded or become open-minded.
Not
Where
get
people-
caught, not get tripped up over terminologies.
Right. Where
Yes.
people can talk any way they want to you, and you can still understand what they're saying.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, this thing to get hung up on, you got to say it like the Bible. I don't say, I can just call it a car. I can call it a automobile.
Well, for us, for our spiritual journey, we had to go outside of the terminology of church, Christianese, I call it, because the terminologies, you get stuck in it. It sounds almost cliche when you hear it so many times. Like if you say, "What is spirit?" Most of us don't know what spirit is, but we'll say, "What are you?" If you ask the question, "What are you?" You say, "I'm spirit." But
Yeah.
you don't really know what you're saying. So we kind of got out of that confine of using those terminologies so that we could find different verbiage for what we're trying to say.
Like you go in the Bible, and you heard me talk about it, and we laugh about it. When Jesus came into Jerusalem, and they spread palm limbs, there was palm trees in there, and Hosanna, holy to the King, and all that. And the scripture said he came riding a coat and an ass.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
And so some of y'all get upset when you say, when you read in the scripture where it said, "Is it easier to heal a man on the Sabbath day or get his ass out of the ditch?" And I said,
I
well,
say it's easy to heal him.
you got an ass in the ditch. That's a mule. That's the next
Yeah.
word is a mule.
Yeah.
So he called a mule a ass.
And as he did.
Yeah, Balaam's ass. He talked out of Balaam's ass.
But don't. Okay, wait a minute. That didn't sound
Well,
quite
well, it
right.
didn't sound right, but it was.
That didn't sound quite
he
right.
used
You may
Balaam.
need to use a different
Yeah,
choice of
all right.
words.
He used Balaam's mule,
Okay, that's good. That's good.
the mule instead of the ass, and
Now
talked.
Now that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
okay. You want me to leave that alone, don't you?
I do.
And like I was told one time, I went fishing out there at Laster Lake at a place in Clemens, North Carolina, and the lake house is made into the dam. So I went out there to sit on the wall, and when I sat on the wall, I said maybe I need to go and knock on this door and see if I can find somebody to get permission to fish.
And those of you out there, stretch your hand this way.
No, yeah.
Because he's gonna go off
Yeah.
on this.
Well, no, I'm just telling you. I'm gonna tell you. So I said, I better get up here and knock on the door and see if I can find somebody to help me. So I realized that the house was made part of the dam. So some people, when they come to, said, "Do you know where that house is on the dam?" I said, "You mean the dam house?" So I said, "Well, yeah, I've been out there to the dam house, and I was fishing off the dam wall, and I thought I'd get up and walk up the dam steps and
So
and knock on the damn door."
I think you just want to cuss.
No, I'm just telling you how the damn thing was.
Now stop it. Now stop it. You're gonna make people leave us alone.
Well, when I knocked on the damn door,
Now
somebody,
don't leave it alone,
I
please.
opened the door and I went in, and
Okay,
and I saw
okay.
a bird in
I
there.
think we got it. I think
Okay,
we got it.
okay. And that's a damn
Do
shame.
you remember what you were gonna say?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. It's just a play with words.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't make any sense to get your underwear in a knot and get all gourded up in there and get a rash just because somebody don't say it like you say it.
Right.
And that's what somebody told me. Said, "Well, sorry," said, "if you don't say it like the church said, they ain't gonna let you come back."
Well, if you exchange the word, just use the word energy in place of spirit. If you think of energy it never dies. It just transforms and moves into another different type of form or non-form. It doesn't die. It never dies.
Now, another thing I run into, and this is what happened to me 50 some years ago. Jesus appeared to me each time there were certain parts of him that looked just like me. And I got here in the scripture where it said in the book of John, around the 20th chapter, in the 15th verse in that area, and she, supposing him to be a gardener, saith unto him, Sir, if thou have borne him hence, tell me where thou hast laid him, and I will take him away. Jesus saith unto her, Mary. See, he appeared to be a stranger or a gardener. And then there's other places in here I could show you. On the Emmaus Road, he was walking with the rest of, he appeared with them, and he appeared to be a stranger.
Yeah, I like what Arthur said here. Hey, Arthur, we haven't seen you a couple of times. We're glad you're here. He says, close your eyes and relax into the body without any labels or judgment. See what experience reveals, and that will be energy.
Wow, man,
That's great, Arthur.
that's closer than that's finer than frog hair. I mean, that's tighter than the bullfrog. That's rough, man. I like that. You are energy. The real part of us can never ever be dispersed of. It can never be wiped out. I'm sorry if you want to die and think it's the end of you. I told this guy before. He wanted to commit suicide. I said, don't do that. I said, that ain't going to end it all. I said, really, you're going to be just beginning.
Yeah. I want to read just a little more if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
And again, don't get hung up on terminologies of what we're talking about. This is just for information sake, and you need to hear this. In the Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical tradition. What is it?
I look at all of us said hot dog.
Yeah.
Now,
ahead. Don't get caught up on the comments,
go
okay?
ahead. Go ahead.
So in the Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical tradition, the names of God have been collected throughout the ages and used as mantras. A similar practice is found in Sufism in the practice of, and I can't pronounce this word, it's Dhikr, which is the veneration of God through constant repetition of his names. So all different types of religions and religious sects have all used different mantras or forms of meditation, sound, to put them in that hypnagogic state
Yeah.
that you're talking about.
Now, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was it.
But when I found out, I got on the telephone and called him in named Max Granfield.
Yeah,
And during that time, I was going down to Fort Payne, Alabama to hold meetings down there. And I spent time in the motel room praying in tongues and groaning. And when it said groan, I just took it literally. When I read in the Bible where Jesus literally went out into a quiet place in the desert, I would get up in the morning, walk down the road, and go in the woods and find a certain place out there and just get on the ground and just like an animal, I would just get down on all four and just groan and travail until I released the hurt and the pain and the anxiety that was in me. Now, this that I'm talking about, I also, let me just tell you this right quick. I also found out after researching into groaning and brooding, I found out what was going on when female, the mama, the pregnant lady, give birth, and breathing having something to do with this.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned.
Yeah,
earlier.
you mentioned it earlier, right? And so what I started doing, now this is going to be really something. When I started laying my hands on people to pray for them, now there has to be a willingness to spend yourself.
Spend yourself.
Now I want you to hear this. I'm going to close my book up and talk to you.
When it says spend yourself, it's spending your emotions and suspending your own personal needs. It's the willingness to let go of that and to spend your own emotions in order to help that other person.
All right, here it is. Here's a simple technique. You're watching television. You're seeing something that you're engrossed in. That was a movie Steve McQueen made years ago, and we went to the theater to see called, shucks. I had it right on mine. But anyway, Bullet.
Yeah.
Bullet was.
I remember that. Yeah.
And they had the camera and the movie fixed so it make it look like you were in the car with him when he went over in Chicago, California.
California, yeah.
Where he jumping the hills up and down, and you feel like you're right in the seat with him. It's like you're at one of those rides at the fair. Well, I've seen people watching certain things on television, and they get so engrossed in it till they actually get up and be helping the people in the picture.
Yeah.
Now, that's another form of groaning and travailing, and there's also another form of judgments. But at the same time, you have to know what to do with this. So when I would be working with the weights and lifting, I would hold myself into an intense way in my stomach and every muscle. When I got ready to do a bench press of 400 pounds, I've already, in my feeling, I have already put my hands on that bar. And I had to put myself into a state, a hypnagogic state, where that weight was no longer 400 pounds. Now, here's what I would do.
Okay.
I found out in the science of it that in between your chest and your chest center here and your sternum, diaphragm, there's a place of gravity in there.
Yeah, your core.
A center of gravity.
It's your
And
core.
I found out after practicing over and over again with a broomstick how to get that place in there.
Find that center of gravity.
Center. So when I got up under 400 pounds to do reps with it, I would remember what it felt like to hit that place of gravity. Sometimes I bring the weight down and I deliberately stop with it. And I'd use everything I had. I put my mind, my feeling, everything into a bundle of energy on the inside. And when I did that, I went, and then when I come back again, I exploded, push. Then I feel and notice that every time I move that bar a certain measurement away from that center, I'd lose the flow of it. And then when I put it back in line with the flow, gravity would help me pull it up. Now,
So are you saying that there is a spiritual center of
yes,
gravity that
yes,
we all have?
yes, yes.
We can locate
Yes,
that.
yes.
There will be enough
yes,
stability inside of
Right.
us to push the good that's in us
that's
out.
right. That's what it is. Now you practice doing this, deliberately practice doing this in order to find out more about your inner outer verse, work. Now, so what I found out that some of the guys do when you have to pay close attention to them. I studied Catherine Kuhlman, all the healing ministers. The ones that was really, see, all of these guys that did miracles and signs and wonders when they started out, they were really genuine. A lot of them was really genuine until they got over into the ego and they started stage presence and staging everything.
Well,
and,
you know, even if you jump out of church
yeah,
arenas, into the healing arenas,
Gimmicks, they had gimmicks.
Well, but I'm thinking of more like the Reiki,
Reiki.
they deal
energy
with,
healing.
they're working with energy. They're moving
Yeah.
energy. So it's all about being able to move that energy.
Yeah.
And we are that energy, are we not?
Right, and see, I've investigated into karate, and I didn't do it. See, now let me say this to you guys.
Some
Yeah,
of us.
not all of it, but I'm generally speaking. Okay, I don't have time to mess with definitions of who I'm talking to, who I'm not talking to. I just want you to understand this. You guys don't know that in the Eastern Scent, they know some things about this energy power of the dysfunction inner working
More so than
more
the
so
West.
than we do, because we are so hung up on perfection, false identities, and all kinds of
And
cliche
success.
glitches, and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
and want to look a certain way. But if you're going to do this thing that I'm talking about, you got to get ugly. And I mean really ugly to the degree that you don't care nothing about what people look at and what they see.
Right.
And then you have to give yourself up. Now you have to be willing to die to patterns and habits in order to do this. So what I found out how to do with watching them, when I laid a hand on somebody that had a real serious situation and I really wanted them to get help, I would push. Like lady giving birth to a child, I would push from my stomach area and from my awareness of consciousness, I would push.
And Michelle said chi.
Chi.
Yes,
That's
chi.
it. That's the chi. And the chi is when I used to get ready for the lift on the stage for my fine lift, I go and I'd shake. I was focusing and centering. And all of a sudden, as I began to do that, I realized that the energy, the adrenaline, in the Bible, if you go there and study about Samson, it is say that he shook himself.
Yes, he did.
And the shook means you say the word shook, 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 shook. And in my stomach, in my throat, that's what Jesus said in the book, out of your belly shall flow rivers of life.
Yes,
Out of your energy center.
Out of that solar plexus.
The solar
area.
plexus is where the power and energy is that forms the fetus and the forming of all our bodies in that area. Oh, and so when I felt it right then.
Yeah, yeah. Now talk back at us and let us know how this is resonating with you and if it's resonating with you. Because Pastor's talking about some stuff that you can put into practice, finding your own center
And you won't hear it in church.
and using your own breath.
You have to
put
be
your-
courageous to investigate outside of the normal circle.
Yes, to put yourself in that state where you can release the energy to help someone else.
Okay? We're waiting. Somebody.
Michelle did say life force energy. And that it is so true. Life force
Michelle, it
energy.
is. She, life force. That's it. Now, I learned how to do this, but here's the point. The reason why I went back into my ancient study and investigation, I found out that every disciple that was around the Passover supper and all of the patriarchs, all the way from Genesis to Revelation, understanding how big we are in the kingdom in us and the universal inner self. Huge, beyond words, unlimited space inside of us in our subconscious eternal self, super self. I found out that on the Mount of Transfiguration, when Jesus was there with Peter, James, and John, Moses and Elijah appeared to them. Where did they come from? They came from inside of him. Inside of you is the same people. Now, we're not talking about familiar spirits and all that old kind of junk that comes up inside of us who wants to operate in these deliverance ministries. And these things that people talk about, don't communicate with the dead. Well, if you don't believe in communicating with the dead, then you need to leave Jesus alone. But then they say, well, he ain't dead. Well, if he ain't dead, then the rest of them ain't dead either. Because when you anybody leave the body, whether they're Jesus or Muhammad or your grandmama, granddad, or your uncle, brother, niece's boy, when they leave their body, they are a spirit.
Now, going back to, and I like what Arthur says. He said, infinite, pure, potential expression of itself is this flow of energy.
That's right.
And we were watching a YouTube video the other day. It was so beautiful. It was a dad and his little bitty infant baby. And he had the baby laying beside him in his arm. And the baby was fussy. It was crying and it was highly upset. And the dad started oming. He said, and all of a sudden the baby just completely calmed down, almost, and actually went to sleep, didn't it? In a matter of seconds. And then it showed another clip where that same man had the baby on his chest, and the baby was fussy. He was frustrated. He was fighting, and he was crying, and the dad started oming again. And the baby actually calmed down and started moving its mouth, made a little round circle like, oh. And as his dad said, he did a oh. And
he did.
And went to sleep.
He did.
Went to sleep. So our body and minds need the sound vibration of Om. It needs the sound vibration of the chi, of the breath. It needs that in order for you to revive. You need that. So that's a practice that you should be doing, shouldn't you?
Patty, I'm wondering about whether this is from the eternal.
I've been trying to understand that I'm not the body.
Yeah, look, trying to understand. That is not you trying to understand statements, certain things that are said as statements of facts. First of all, you need to understand, Patty, understand that your mind is trying to reason and figure out what it is. Facts are, in the scripture, if you're going to use that, he breathed the breath of life into the clay. That same breath is what you're using right now to breathe in and out. And you're doing it on a spontaneous basis. You're not trying to understand how you breathe out or breathe in. Your heart is the same way. It beats, and you're not trying to focus attention on how to keep it beating. And all the function of your body, you're not trying to. So this wondering is your left brain trying to reason out how this can be eternal or not.
It's trying to figure it out.
It's trying to figure out whether it's eternal or not. It is a fact that even when Jesus was in his body, he had to go in and out of it through breathing.
And the other thing too, Patty, is that I've learned this, that the practices that we do are not so much to bring us into being the eternal. It is
No.
we are that already.
You are that.
But it is to convince the mind and the body and the feelings that you are that. It's to bring everything into alignment with that you are. So that's a practice that you can do in order to make sure that the eternal self, has free flow.
Okay.
And I
When you,
like what Oliver said as well, and Christine said. Christine said, "This is what happened when God breathed the breath of life into us, or Adam." And
that
then,
was
yes,
that breath was him.
yes. And then Oliver says, "I understand the content of what's being shared. Many forms, same content. Many cups, same juice."
Same juice.
Yes.
So Patty, we're just speaking to you now in the just relax and just love yourself, and your reasoning, sophisticated reasoning, will eventually, if you're not careful, to talk you out of what is really simple. It's easy. It's really easy.
And it's true that you are not only the body, but
Yeah.
a body is an aspect of consciousness. It's a solid form of consciousness, or a more restricted or constricted form of consciousness, but it is still nevertheless consciousness. So that's why we still have to do what we have to do in order to bring the body and the mind, feelings, all of that into alignment. So this is what we're talking about.
When you resuscitate a person that passes out unconscious, and you breathe over them, where they use machines now, and bring them back, you're putting the breath of life, or you're calling back. You're doing the same thing that they're doing, the same thing that Jesus did with Lazarus. Now, when you understand this, Patty, it's going to really just blow your mind as to how this thing really worked, and it'll come to you on a spontaneous basis. When I found out that that breathing, when we leave these bodies, we take the breath with us.
Yeah, we do.
And the breath that we take with us is the same breath that was used to bring life into Adam's body, or any body on the earth. So some people don't like this. You're breathing everybody's air in the room. It's the same air. You over there breathing now, you're breathing in my air, and I'm breathing in yours. I'm so glad that the universe and God got a way of purifying before He got into us. And how many times did you kiss your boyfriend or your husband or somebody, and you put your mouth up against them, and y'all just be a breathing and a huffing and a puffing and a heating up and burning up? Oh my God! I wonder if you don't have to call the fire truck 911 to put the fire out. But you're breathing. Now, let me tell you something. What happened when I saw Jesus the first time? One of the first things I noticed about seeing Him was heat and fire. And we heard people say about the Holy Ghost fire. When that fire revealed itself to me, I could see it. And that's when I didn't know then that my third eye was open, but my inner insight was open, and I could see the fire. And then my feeling with my seeing and my feelings, I could actually feel the heat. So what I started doing was fanning it like this.
And that was the worst thing to do.
That's the worst thing you want to do with fire.
Put a fire out,
Especially,
it.
and when I started using firewood in a wood stove, in a fireplace, I used to like to get locust wood, and locust wood has an oil in it that throws off a blue flame. And that blue flame, it was the hottest part of Jesus' heart that I saw that was burning. Yeah. It was blue fire. Yeah, and that's it. It's the fire that you see when they use for welding. It burnt the stew. If I got in the stew, boy, did it burn.
I wonder where that phrase came from.
Excuse my Latin, French, and German. It burnt the hell out of me. And I
it literally did.
Yeah, well, I think I still got a little bit of hell. I got a little smidgen of hell in me right now.
Thank you, Patty. She said, "Thank you. You're right. I get it. I need to spend more time in practice rather than thinking so much. I'm going to keep breathing." Yes, sweetheart. Please do that.
But don't beat your thinking up. That's just it's just a mechanism.
No judgment, Patty.
No judgment. It's going to do that anyway. Once you clarify your true identity more in a separated awareness or consciousness, your mind will think some of the most ridiculous thing, but you'll realize that it's not you doing that crazy thinking. See,
and some of us are more prone to thinking than others. Some of us are more feelers than we are thinkers, and so we tend to spend a lot of time in our heads. If we're intellectually inclined, we'll really spend a lot of time in our head. And a lot of times if you're a feeler, you will you have so many feelings that you stay in your head trying to figure out why you feel the way you do. So it's a lot of reasons why people fall into
That
thinking.
we used to go to a deliverance session on Sunday morning as we left church, and we sit at this man's house, and they would be gathered around, and they came up with this idea that passing air out of your body,
Yawning
and kind of was a way of deliverance, and it has some degree of truth about it. But these guys got around a circle and went to passing gas and the burping and the popping and can on.
Well, it's true that sometimes as that energies that are, I say, stuck energies are coming out. A lot of times it will come out with a scream, or it'll come
Yeah,
out
'cause they said it.
with
Yeah.
a yawn. It'll come out like that, but it's not something we should look for to happen.
Now, what is this down here, Michelle?
Yeah, Michelle is saying. I'll read it to you.
Okay.
You keep going.
Okay.
Michelle says, I practice, I can't say that word, Kaijong,
Yeah,
prayer
Kaijong.
and meditate every day. It takes about an hour, but it gets the life force energy flowing, and it restores and repairs not only me, but everyone around me. There are mantras, and Om is used. Where did I go? It's used during the practice and a vibration, and she's got more on there. That's a whole lot she's saying.
I'm interested in that. Now, these are secret. These are what I call Nazarite secrets. The strength of Samson was not so much in his hair as it was in his relationship with the infinite self.
Yeah.
Now, everybody need to understand that once you go into this holy of holies of your eternal self, you will have to be willing to admit that there is a part of you that is exactly not like God, but is God without the ego. If you go into this with the ego, you're going to end up like some of these people said to me, the devil is a lie. Yeah, he is a lie if you go in there with the ego. Because that ego is that part that causes you to bring enmity between each other and to make you want to be right more so than the other one, or it is the part of the left brain that tries to reason you. But let me share this with you guys. In my investigation into these workings, I had to study outside of the camp in order to find out what some of you guys are talking about is true. And I had to actually put these things into practice in some of my classes and services when I was praying for people when I was young. And it was then that I started seeing angels, that same angel that was in the pool of Bethesda in the book of St. John, where the angel, every time the angel troubled that water, somebody stepped in it, they got healed. I saw that angel working with me in the audience, and when I looked out there, he was telling me by pointing his hand over people's head which one that I need to pray for. And then I got to the place where I used to, just an idea came up. Why don't you just try pushing more?
Pushing how? What
pushing
do you mean?
From your stomach, gathering up all of your energy, all your attention.
So that's not a physical thing you're talking about.
It is somewhat.
Okay.
It is a physical thing, a mental thing, and a psychological thing.
So
it's really a desire.
Okay, so are you bundling up everything that you're sensing about yourself at that moment?
I'm bringing everything
into one place.
Everything. In other words, I get over into what is called compassion. I bring up everything I can inside of me of God's love.
With that willingness. To
but here's the thing about it. I had to be willing, in order for this to work, to spend myself, which means it weakened me some until I got built up. And it also, I had to be willing to release that out of me. And then I had to also investigate to find out what place in me did it come from. And then I realized in my investigation that there was opening scars, like the nail prints in Jesus' hand and around his head and his side and his feet.
Well, and you've talked about this before, that all of the hardships we've been through, where there's been pain, that's the place where all of this energy comes through. Once you've forgiven it, transcended it, it all comes through those particular broken places in us.
In order to push this energy out, you must be willing to relinquish your personal survival your personal environment with yourself.
Do you also surrender the outcome when you do that?
You have to be willing to do that. It's almost like
You
stand
can't
before.
invest in the outcome.
You have to be willing to stand before a firing squad within yourself and say, at this moment, now watch this, at this moment, if it takes me to give all of my essence and life for this person to be healed and to be helped, I am willing to do it. Now, you're going to have the assistance. Watch this. Watch this now.
Yeah.
You're going to have the assistance of Moses, Elijah, and all the people in the heavenly realm who has worked with many, many people like you to bring this energy power out of you. I'm saying something now from a mystic point of view, okay? And let me finish. Let me tell you. Now, I found out through investigating that these scars inside of us that we accumulated before we ever found out anything about spirituality growing up, they were like the 39 stripes that was on Jesus' body. They were opportunities. They were opportunities for the unction of the alabaster. It's like aloe vera plant. When you cut the end of that plant, that juice come out. The juice of your eternal essence must be pushed out. The metaphorically saying of this is when they rolled the stone over Jesus' tomb, they were trying to block him from coming out. That's normally. But what we're saying now, an old saying, old song in church said, can't no grave hold my body down. When the last trumpet sound, I'm coming out of the ground. But that's physical. But in metaphorically speaking is this. What was designed in this dimension to keep your spirit self from being released was trauma, pain, hurt, and disappointment.
Yes.
It was designed to lock the prison doors of the interest, import and export of the energy inside of you through your mind. That's the reason why in Jesus they talk about the veil that was split from top to bottom. You are the only one that can split your own veil by willing to sacrifice your feelings in this area and use all of this energy inside of you. So when I got ready to pray for somebody, I had to be willing to lose myself. The price of God's miracle working power is not getting the power, but it's willing to allow it to come through you.
Yes.
And sometimes things, like for instance, we could have got in an argument, been busy today, and when I sit down here to talk to you guys, here I go, I don't feel like it. So what I have to do is willing to push my spirit out.
Beyond that.
It's like a person, like for instance my dog. We'll take her out to do her thing out in the yard, and if it's raining or cold, she'll retrieve. Do you know when Adam and Eve disobeyed God, for the book, this is metaphorically speaking, that what happened to their spirit that was called sin was that it retrieved. It withdrew. It went whoop, back in instead of out.
Retreated.
It retreated.
Yeah.
That retreated self energy was what is being used in schools and colleges to block you from releasing your true essence. And men that have done mighty feats, extra curricular activities such as gymnastics, all kinds of things like that. Excelling. I also found out, and I'm going to touch on this, I'm not going to mess with it much, in a husband and wife relationship, the intimacy of reaching this state of pleasure and explosiveness of a feeling of you and her as husband and wife, and it's with anybody, but I would rather be husband and wife, release, when y'all reach that moment of ecstasy, your spirit and her and that energy,
there's a joining of
I've seen it. I've seen my whole self come out and wrap around her.
And not to stay on this subject, but a lot of people who have sexual addictions, they're sexually addicted because they're really looking for the union,
That's it.
and they
That
don't
oneness.
they don't sense it.
That's right.
And that's the closest thing they can feel it.
What I'm
get it
teaching you
into it.
tonight is that you can practice this, and pretty soon you won't have to practice it. It'll be second nature to you.
You're also talking about deep desires.
Yeah, that's another one.
Deep desires. I remember
Passion.
years ago, Wayne Dyer had a meditation tape. Laverne, I think I gave you one of the copies where he said, when you get to the place that you want God as much as that man who's been in the desert for 3 or 4 days without water wants that drink of water, you will find God.
Yes. Once you taste it. That's the reason why I say you have to acquire a taste. And I'll tell you another thing that we want you to do. If you ever start doing it and it works.
Yes.
See, it works. It's work. I mean, it is something
work.
that really takes place.
It's your inner work.
It's tangible. Now, I used to teach this a lot, but here's another thing that helped you. We have a chance with being pastors and being in front of people. We get an opportunity of the grace of God to practice what we
Sure
taught.
we do. Every time we sit down, we have to completely transcend everything we've been through that day.
And the price of God's miracle working power is to be willing to let go of trying to preserve and protect yourself. You become very vulnerable.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
man, that's a big
Now I can
one.
when I can
vulnerable?
feel it just talking about
Ooh.
it. When you start talking about it, you can sense it.
Well, we often say you need to protect your heart. You need to
Oh,
protect.
glory
That
be
is
to
the
God.
worst thing that you could ever do. I found out that the heart heals faster when it's open.
I'm fighting hard now to not use my baby language, what we call praying in tongues. I call it my baby talk. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I use that to release that energy. Now, here we go. Here we go. You are going to find out, based on what I'm saying, how to journal yourself. You're going to find out how to move yourself around in your body. You're going to find out how to turn yourself around in your body and look out the back of your head, or look out. You're going to develop what is called what those beings in the Old Testament are four-faced.
The seraphims.
You will begin to be like
the four-faced creatures.
Four-faced creures.
They didn't turn. They just had a face
They
in
could
each
turn
direction.
in any direction. That symbolizes your universalness.
Yes.
Or what we call it, remote viewing.
And it also symbolizes that you're not imprisoned in this body. You're not a prisoner of this body. That must be something coming in.
Yeah. Now, you want to stay in what is called a childlike, a flexible. Okay. I had a word come to me. You must push past scar tissue. You push past scar tissue of the hurt and the pain that you've been through in life. I used to be in my private time, I would go into this chanting and praying, and I would notice at the top of my head, I could see words shooting out, and these words would be the expression of scar tissue and the history behind why I got the scar tissue when somebody said something years ago.
Painful residue.
Painful memories, painful feelings, flashbacks, stories, and events. They are there. But once you learn how to do this, you crack through these places so the light can shine through. And these scars are the story of transformation from darkness into light. Michelle, I'm telling you, you got it. You got it.
This is the Monroe method. You know more about some of these things than we do as far as terminologies. We know about it from things that we've experienced, and you could probably tell us a few things.
Yeah, Michelle, I want you to contact me and talk about that to me. Yeah. I want to know more about it. I've searched for 50 years to hear somebody say what you just said. And I know now the hookup. This thing is so, and in the Bible, we call it the inner witness. Yeah. I perceive. All of these are the essence coming through these scars and openings. Yeah. And I found out how these boys like Paul are traveling and all these visions they saw, it comes from inside. I'm excited about this, but you got to cool your lily.
Cool your lily?
Yeah, you got to cool your lily.
What if you don't have a lily?
Well, you're going to have to cool whatever in there that's trying to be a lily. You have to understand that you are, watch this, you are the paper, the ink, and the pen of God.
Yeah.
You are the actual scribe. You are the, I'm going to use the word, you are the scribulation. You're the scribe in potential. You're the scribe in essence. You are the board that God has written on. You are the substance of the stuff that comes out the end of God's finger that draws and uses it to imagine and bring to pass the substance of an invisible thing through the end of your fingers. You are the manifestation of the fingernails of Jesus, the fingernails of God. You are the skin, the flesh and bone. My God, I feel this thing. And you are the flesh and bone that steps forward and peels itself off and grows itself back. You are the hair that moves itself on your arms. You're the skin that stretches with every moment. Every bone and joint and marrow is what you're made out of. And as you begin to focus more in on the center of this inner essence of who you are, your inner rewards will come forth into consciousness and reveal itself to you and to other people around you. You'll be walking in the mastership of your eternal self in the earth, and you will be fulfilling the earth's plan to bring forth many manifestations of a son and daughter of God that would absolutely blow the mind of the ego, blow the mind of those who have been trying to interfere. You will even relinquish. You will wipe out karma. You will wipe out all those things that have been haunting you. You will enter into a place where everything in the earth respects the power of your eternal essence to the degree, but yet you're staying cool, calm, and collected. You are in a place of absolutely rest.
Yes.
Because you found out the truth of your no ending, no beginning, no stopping, no dying, no leaving, no coming and going self. Hallelujah.
That's good. That is good.
Glory be to God. I want to stop right there. I am so happy I have found you too.
She's talking to us, honey.
I'm gonna give it back to you because this stuff
I like
is
what
real.
Pearl said. Pearl said, "All life, regardless of form, is God in action." And
Let's
that is
go
so
there.
true.
Go there.
Patty, you are so welcome, sweetheart. I'm glad that whatever we say resonates with you.
Whoever it is out there which one it was that was talking to me about the unction and the scars and the brokenness.
Yeah.
It's called, and I studied an ancient teaching it's called breaking or broken and release.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order for Jesus to get out of the tomb, something had to be broken to let him out.
Well, that's the same analogy as the seed.
Yeah.
It has to fall into the
That's
ground,
right.
and it has to die before it can release its
Pressure. Now listen, when you get ready to pray for somebody, put your hand there and do like this. They may have to do it under your breath. And now watch it. Here's the key. When you do this, visualize that energy coming through your hand.
What if you're not praying directly for some person? How can you still use that chi to better your own life, your own harmony, bring yourself into harmony?
The more you release it for others, the more it heals you.
Okay.
The more you practice it.
And it doesn't have to be so evident, though.
No, it doesn't have to be evident. You can do it in a small way.
And so I want to just read a little bit of what Patty said. She said, "I'm so happy to have found you two. I'm glad you have too, sweetheart. I grew up in the Bible Belt of West Virginia, and I experienced insanity in what I heard. Never made sense. I have searched for years in metaphysical studies. It's so comforting to hear sanity spoken from the Bible." Well, thank you, my dear. Some people would say otherwise, but I appreciate what you just said.
From your essence and from what you're saying on paper, I feel and I absorb the healing from your statements here.
Yes.
And I just want to, I don't know what to say with these words, but I do know it is great that you said this. Thank you so much for the baptism of the holy oil of God that is now flowing over and through and around everybody that's listening to this telecast.
And you're giving us definition, Patty. You're giving us definition because for years we've been saying these things, but we haven't had enough people to say what you're saying. We've had several who followed us through the different part of our journeys that we've been in, but now that you guys, some of you new people that are coming and following us, that I call my new family, it's very encouraging to us to hear how it's helping you. So that I appreciate it so much.
Learning how to push your spirit out, or push your inward organs out of your body through your metaphoric speaking, through your infinite. I'm trying to find words that would actually keep me on track with releasing this, because it works. But now here's something else I want to tell you. It will spin you, meaning it'll wear you. It'll make you tired until you find out how to reserve a lot of the energy that you want to push out of you. And sometimes you will have a sudden burst of energy, and that's the gift of miracles. The sudden, unexpected burst of miracles, of power, of energy that will come over you, and you will be so relaxed in it, where you can. I've had it happen to a place where it was so spontaneous that I touched a person on the head with one finger, and that had a toothache, and it completely.
And sometimes it happened without you even knowing that it was going to happen.
Without even knowing.
Yeah, so,
because once you get these scars open, and another thing, what heals these scars is the salve, or the presence of your infinite self coming through. That automatically carries with it a healing of those wounds.
So what you're actually talking about is not us just speaking to people, not us just physically trying to be kind or laying a hand on someone, but you're actually talking about a transmission coming from us, a transmission.
I've even laid my hands on batteries.
And there have been times when one of us would be not feeling well, and we'd be in bed at night, and if I'm like that, he'll put his hand on me and sleep like that, or I'll do the same for him and let him sleep with my hand on him. Sometimes that worked to ease up whatever we were experiencing at the time physically. So it's coming through you whether you know it or not. Oh yeah, Monroe Institute. Yeah, we're familiar with that.
I have a lot of days. I used to call them all the time. But
thank you, Michelle.
Michelle, it's nothing like talking to somebody that have gone through it. I had thought many times of going to Monroe Institute and sacrifice the money to go through some of their courses up there.
I'm glad Michelle put this up here, because what I wanted to do, and I know Oliver's on here, I think he's still on here, I wanted to encourage you guys to send me your email, and if you would send it to Oliver Blue Truly.
Yeah, we need to go, don't we?
And I've forgotten your email, Oliver Blue Truly at live.com. I think that's it. Oliver, you put your email up there. Please send your email and your phone number, if you don't mind me having it, to Oliver, and he will get it to me, and I will try to keep in touch with you. So I wanted to say that to you guys, those of you who haven't done that. I'm trying to build our base so that we can be able to keep in touch. And I said that because we're gonna privately Zoom you, Michelle, so we can talk a little bit about the Monroe Institute and the things you mentioned.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that.
There are times when Pastor and I feel a real urgency or need or desire to speak to some of you privately. So if you would do that, I would appreciate it. It would be helpful, and then it also would keep you in touch with what we want to do in the future.
Let me say something.
Thank you, Oliver.
We're getting ready to go. You guys have touched my heart tonight.
Yes.
And that touch I sense, and I feel my heart reaching out to you, and the healing love of Jesus, the healing love of the universe, God. I try to stay out of church talk, but
Sometimes it's hard.
I mix it in. Somebody asked me, "Say, are you apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher?" I said, "No, I am everybody." I'm everybody in the universe, good or bad. I'm everybody. Thank you so much. Amen. Thank you so much, you guys out there. You have supported us financially. We're able to keep going here at the house. Something coming in the mail all the time, and use the Cash App to send us something. And as long as I can stay on this thing, I will talk to you. And and my paperwork here, I haven't got anywhere close to you. I'm going to use this to talk to you guys. And you know, if it was any way possible physically, I could come to see all of you in a certain place. I'd teach
We'll have to
you.
do another Zoom.
Yeah,
We'll have to do a Zoom so all of
I'd
them can
teach you in
come. Yeah.
person
Yeah.
how. I show you how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I bless you for
Mm-hmm.
blessing us
Mm-hmm.
with the eternal substance of your labor.
Now Jill has already put on the comment section how to give, and you can text to Cornerstone. And those of you who haven't don't have online abilities or capabilities, and you want the PO box, I think Laverne has already put that up as well, and that's PO Box 36259. Greensboro, North Carolina 27416, if you desire to mail something into the church. And that is for Cornerstone Life Center. And if you want to bless Pastor and I, and by the way, thank you so much for all my birthday wishes,
Yes.
all of the monetary gifts that have come in, and all of the cards, and my sweethearts who have been giving me birthday wishes all day long, and calls and texts and all kinds of things. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
I need to say this right quick. It's coming up. Take a good look, a thorough look at your eternal self or your infinite self. It is like a chick, it is like a hen brooding over an egg. The more time you spend on putting your attention on your eternal self, infinite self, in the workings of this life inside this body, it will do like a chick do in an egg. It will eventually push its way out through those scars and those impasses. And those impasses will become no longer liabilities but assets.
Yes, yes, yes.
I thank you. I got this stuff working. I don't want to
Yes,
quit,
you
but we
have.
need to stop.
Yes, I do. And then one final thing, and I think my brother-in-law asked what song was that was playing in the beginning. It's called Love is the Miracle. And I don't remember exactly who it was by, but I'm going to play just a little bit of it right here at the end. And we're going to say goodbye to you guys while that's playing. How about that? Okay?
Remember this. You were designed for import and export of God's power. I bless you from the top of your head to the tip of your toes, even in them old raggedy pantyhose. I bless you from every area of your life. And I'm so excited about hearing from you guys and seeing and watching the miracle power of God work in your life. Okay.
Okay.
One of the largest cybersecurity programs in the country.
I'm going to play that song for you. Here it comes.
Okay.
That's what it was.
I just saw something. Lord have mercy. Mm.
That was good.